No one noticed at first when the worlds vanished. At the edge of the Orion Arm, entire star systems went dark, one by one. No explosions. No debris. Just silence. Planets that once sang with billions of voices simply stopped. The Galactic Concordance called it phase erasure. An ancient, precise method of extinction. And Earth was on the list. On the bridge of the alien dread vessel Void Sovereign, High Executor Zeltharin watched holographic stars wink out like dying embers. His species, the Valori, had ruled interstellar politics for over 50,000 cycles. Their science bent gravity. Their fleets folded space like cloth. Humans to them were noise. "Confirm the next target," Zeltharin said, his voice smooth and bored. A floating intelligence core pulsed blue. "Target confirmed, Sol System. Classification, Tier 0 civilization. Probability of resistance, negligible." Several Valori officers emitted soft clicks of amusement. "Still burning chemical fuel," one said. "Still divided by nations," another added. "They will not even understand why they are dying." Zeltharin nodded. "Begin phase erasure." Across the galaxy, weapons older than empires awakened. Earth felt it before it saw it. Every satellite screamed at once. Space-time rippled like heat over glass. Astronomers saw stars bend in impossible angles. Oceans pulled toward the sky. Dogs howled. Children cried. Deep beneath the Himalayas, in a facility officially listed as a weather archive, Admiral Elias Rourke stared at the data wall in silence. "So," he said quietly, "they finally found us." Around him stood men and women who did not wear uniforms. Engineers. Physicists. Linguists. Soldiers who had never been publicly acknowledged. The Continuity Council. Earth's last secret. "How long?" asked Dr. Maya Chin. Rourke checked the clock. 6 minutes until full erasure. No panic followed. No shouting. Only motion. "Activate Black Halo," Rourke ordered. The mountain trembled as systems older than most governments powered up. Beneath the planet's crust, something vast unfolded, rings of exotic matter, threaded through fault lines, anchored to Earth's magnetic core. The Valori weapon struck. From the Void Sovereign's perspective, Sol System collapsed inward. Space compressed. Light vanished. But Earth did not disappear. Instead, the erasure wave bent. Twisted. Split. It wrapped around the planet like water around a stone. On the bridge, alarms screamed. "Impossible," an officer hissed. "The planet is still present." Zeltharin rose from his command throne for the first time in centuries. "Explain." Sensors recalibrated again and again. Each time Earth remained. Wounded, but alive. Worse, adapting. "They used the planet itself as a shield," the intelligence core said slowly. "A resonance lattice synchronized to our erasure frequency." Zeltharin's eyes narrowed. "That technology predates their first spaceflight." "Yes," the core replied. "By approximately 8,000 years." Silence gripped the bridge. On Earth, the sky burned green as the last of the energy bled harmlessly into space. Cities stood. Oceans settled. Humanity lived. Barely. Admiral Rourke exhaled. "Status." "Planetary damage at 12%, Chin replied. "Acceptable." Black Halo held. "And our position?" Chin hesitated. "They know we're not helpless anymore." Rourke nodded. "Good." Above Earth, something else stirred. Old satellites, thought dead, realigned. Forgotten probes powered on. Signals leapt outward, not in panic, but in precision. A message. Not a plea. A warning. Across the galaxy, alien councils erupted. Worlds that had watched Earth marked for erasure now saw the impossible. A Tier 0 species surviving a concordance-level extinction strike. The Keth Dominion withdrew fleets. The Ishari theocracy declared omens. The Machine Synod began recalculating probabilities it had never considered before. Humans had altered the math. On the Void Sovereign, Zeltharin stared at Earth's image, scarred, small, defiant. "Prepare a containment fleet," he said slowly. "We will erase them properly." The intelligence core paused. "Executor, probability of total success has dropped to 62%. Zeltharin smiled. At last. A challenge. Far below, Admiral Rourke watched alien fleets begin to move. "Let them come," he said. Because Earth had survived the deadliest strike in the galaxy. And humanity was done hiding. The galaxy did not sleep after Earth survived. It argued. In the crystalline halls of the Galactic Concordance, delegates from 1,000 species shouted, hissed, pulsed light, and broadcast data storms at one another. For the first time in 10,000 cycles, a scheduled extermination had failed. And it had failed against humans. They cheated physics, screeched an Ishari priest lord, his floating tendrils glowing with holy fire. No, replied a machine synod node calmly. They used physics we assumed they did not possess. Assumption error, echoed another node. Responsibility, concordance. At the center chamber, High Executor Zeltherin stood alone, unbowed. Order, he said. His voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Earth's survival does not change the law. They remain unregistered, uncontrolled, and dangerous. A Keth War Admiral slammed his clawed limb into the floor. Dangerous? You erased 57 worlds this cycle alone. Earth is the only one still breathing. Murmurs spread. Zeltherin's eyes flicked across the chamber. Which is precisely why they must be destroyed now, before others learn from them. That silenced the room. Learning from humans was a terrifying idea. Above Earth, space grew crowded. Valori containment fleets arrived in perfect geometric formation. Black hulls, gravity wells humming, weapons folded neatly into higher dimensions. Each ship alone could sterilize a planet. Human telescopes tracked them silently. In the Pacific Defense Ring, Admiral Rourke stood before a projection of the approaching armada. They're cautious now, said General Aisha Khan. Slower. Tighter formation. They should be, Rourke replied. They've lost surprise. Dr. Chin gestured, bringing up alien fleet schematics. Their weakness is coordination latency. They rely on centralized command intelligence. So we cut the head, Khan said. Rourke shook his head. No. We let them believe the head is safe. He turned to another display, one marked Project Mirrorfire. Begin Phase 1. The first human response was not weapons. It was noise. Across the electromagnetic spectrum, Earth erupted with signals. Old radio frequencies, broken mathematical sequences, cultural broadcasts, fragments of human languages layered with nonsense. The alien intelligence corps struggled. Executor, an officer said, unsettled. Their transmissions are inefficient. Disordered. Zeltherin frowned. Filter them. We are trying. They adapt faster than our filters can update. Then something worse happened. Human signals began mimicking Valori command codes. Not perfectly, but close enough to cause hesitation. Fleet formations drifted. Micro-delays rippled outward. Ships corrected, overcorrected. It was subtle, but it was enough. Fire warning lances, Zeltherin ordered. The first Valori shot crossed space in silence. No flash, no beam. Reality simply thinned. Earth responded. From lunar orbit, something long forgotten rotated into view. An ancient station. Crude by alien standards. Ugly. Covered in patchwork armor and scorched scars. The Aegis array. Valori sensors laughed, until the station fired. The human weapon did not pierce space. It forced space to choose. Probabilities collapsed. The Valori lance destabilized and dispersed into harmless radiation. Shock rippled through the alien fleet. They countered a phase weapon with a probability anchor, an officer whispered. That is barbaric. Zeltherin stared at the data. No. That is clever. On Earth, cheers echoed through underground bunkers. But Rourke did not smile. Hold fire, he ordered. But we can hit them. Khan protested. Yes, Rourke said. And that's exactly what they expect. He leaned forward, eyes hard. Humans don't win by strength. We win by forcing the enemy to make mistakes. The concordance chamber erupted again when reports arrived. Human countermeasures confirmed. They are actively disrupting Valori command networks. Probability models are failing. A smaller delegate spoke quietly, a representative of a species long oppressed. If humans survive, the Concordance's monopoly on annihilation ends. Silence followed. Zeltherin felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. Fear. Back at the containment fleet, the human message finally broke through, clear, untranslated, carried on raw radio waves. A single voice. This is Admiral Elias Rourke of Earth. Zeltherin ordered the channel opened. We did not attack you, Rourke continued. We did not threaten your galaxy. You tried to erase us without speaking. Rourke paused. That was your first mistake. The Valori bridge listened in stunned quiet. We are not asking for mercy, Rourke said. We are offering terms. Zeltherin laughed softly. You survived one strike. You think that makes you equals? No, Rourke replied calmly. We think it makes you nervous. Silence fell across space. The first human-alien negotiation in history had begun. And for the first time the galaxy wondered, what happens if humans decide to stop defending Earth and start reshaping the stars? The negotiations lasted exactly 93 seconds. That was how long the Valori allowed Admiral Elias Rourke to speak before High Executor Zeltherin terminated the channel. On the bridge of the Void Sovereign, the air trembled with restrained fury. They dare offer terms? Snarled a Valori commander. A species that crawled out of its gravity well yesterday? Zeltherin remained silent, staring at the tactical projection of Earth's defenses. His mind replayed the data: human signal mimicry, probability anchors, planetary-scale resonance engineering. Not miracles. Design. They are no longer requesting survival, Zeltherin said slowly. They are testing dominance. Then erase them completely, an officer said. Zeltherin raised a hand. No. The bridge froze. We will teach them consequence, he continued. Not extinction. Demonstration. A command pulsed through the fleet. Targets changed. The first human colony to burn was Haven 9. A small world. Terraforming incomplete. Only 4 million people lived there, engineers, families, children born under artificial skies. Valori warships arrived without warning. On Earth, alarms howled. They bypassed Sol. Dr. Chin shouted. They're hitting outer colonies. Rourke closed his eyes for half a second. Casualties. Hi, Chin said. We're losing them. General Khan slammed her fist into the console. They're massacring civilians. Rourke's voice dropped to ice. No. They're making a point. On the distant world, Valori weapons carved cities into molten glass. Oceans boiled. Atmosphere fled. Haven 9 died screaming. And the galaxy watched. In the Concordance, reactions fractured. The Ishari praised the purge as holy correction. The Keth sharpened their claws and prepared for war. The oppressed species, dozens of them, felt something new ignite. Hope. On Earth, Rourke addressed the Continuity Council. They crossed the line, Khan said. We strike back now. Rourke nodded. Yes, but not where they expect. He gestured and the room darkened. Stars appeared, far from Sol, far from human space. Project Gravesong is live, Chin said quietly. Several council members went pale. That technology was theoretical, one whispered. Not anymore, Rourke replied. The human counterattack began with a ghost. Valori sensor nets detected a disturbance near the Keth border worlds, a region critical to Concordance logistics. At first it looked like a dying star collapsing early. Then it moved. What is that? An alien analyst stammered. The object was not a ship. It was a weaponized star fragment, wrapped in containment fields, driven by human mathematics that treated gravity like clay. The humans called it a mass lance. Valori fleet scrambled. Too late. The mass lance passed through a Concordance supply hub, bending space so violently that stations tore themselves apart. Ships imploded. Hyperlanes collapsed. Billions in resources vanished in seconds. Across the galaxy, systems went dark, not erased but broken. The Concordance screamed. Zeltherin watched the devastation in disbelief. They used stellar mass as ammunition, he whispered. Executor, the intelligence corps said, humans appear willing to destabilize galactic infrastructure. Zeltherin turned sharply. That was never permitted. Correct, the corps replied. But humans were never permitted to exist. The words hung in the air. Earth did not broadcast victory. It broadcast footage. Images of Haven 9's destruction. Names of the dead. Faces of children. Then Admiral Rourke spoke again. You wanted demonstration, he said calmly. So did we. His eyes burned. We do not erase worlds, he continued. We break systems. And if you continue, Rourke said, leaning forward, we will teach the galaxy how fragile your order truly is. Fear spread faster than any fleet. Minor powers withdrew support from the Valori. Trade routes rerouted. Secret communications began flowing toward Earth. Questions, offers, pleas. Humans answered none of them. Instead, they did something worse. They went silent. In the void near the shattered hub, Valori patrols reported something impossible. Human ships. Not in formation. Not broadcasting. Not attacking. Just watching. Black hulls, angular and ugly, designed for function, not beauty. Each carried independent intelligence, independent command. No central mind. No single point of failure. Zeltherin clenched his hands. They learned, he said softly. They learned how to fight us. On Earth, General Khan stood beside Rourke, staring at the star map now riddled with fractures. We've changed the war, she said. Rourke nodded. Yes. And the galaxy will never forgive us, she added. Rourke's gaze hardened. We didn't ask them to forgive us. He looked up as new signals appeared, dozens of them. Alien fleets, moving toward Earth. Not to attack, to observe, to choose sides. Because humanity had just proven something terrifying. When pushed far enough, humans did not seek revenge. They rewrote the rules of survival itself. The galaxy began to split along invisible lines. Not borders, not treaties. Belief. Some species still believed the Valori were inevitable, ancient, vast, unstoppable. Others had seen the fracture lines spreading through concordant space and understood a deeper truth. The galaxy's order was not eternal. It was maintained. And humans had learned how to break it. Above the neutral world of Khartoon, dozens of fleets gathered. No banners. No shared command. Just distance and distrust. Keth war cruisers hovered like predators. Ishari sanctum ships glowed with religious fury. Smaller species, once voiceless, hid behind larger hulls. And at the center of it all, a single human vessel waited. The UNS Resolute. It was not large. It did not radiate power. Its hull bore scars and burn marks instead of ornamentation. That unsettled everyone. Admiral Elias Rourke stood on its bridge as translators synced. We shouldn't be here, General Khan said quietly. This smells like a trap. It is, Rourke replied. Just not for us. The Concordants called the meeting to contain the human problem. But containment required understanding. And understanding terrified them. High Executor Zeltherin appeared as a towering hologram, his image dwarfing the chamber. Humans, he began, your actions threaten galactic stability. You weaponize stars. You disrupt trade, governance, survival itself. Rourke stepped forward. You erased Haven 9, he said simply. Silence followed. Zeltherin's eyes hardened. Necessary correction. Rourke nodded slowly. Then understand this correction. He gestured. Footage filled the chamber, human archives long classified. Simulations of Earth's past. Plagues, world wars, climate collapse, near extinction. We come from a planet that tried to kill us constantly, Rourke said. Gravity too strong. Resources too few. Predators smarter than we were. Images shifted, humans adapting, building, surviving. We did not inherit stability, he continued. We learned to manufacture it. Zeltherin scoffed. That does not make you superior. No, Rourke agreed. It makes us dangerous. The chamber erupted. Ishari priests demanded human extermination. Keth warlords demanded access to human weapons. Minor species watched in terrified silence. Then a voice no one expected spoke. A delegate from the Veruan remnant, a species nearly erased by the Concordance centuries earlier. Humans, the Veruan said softly, if we had possessed your resolve, our worlds might still exist. Zeltherin turned sharply. Careful. The Veruan did not look away. Or what? It asked. That question echoed across the chamber. Outside the negotiation hall, Valori fleets maneuvered. Zeltherin had never trusted words. Prepare subspace severance, he ordered privately. The weapon was forbidden, designed to cut entire regions of space off from causality. If Earth could not be erased, it would be isolated. The attack began mid-sentence. Space screamed. Hyperlanes collapsed around Khartoon. Ships drifted, engines dead, screaming into the void. Panic exploded. What's happening? We're losing navigation. This isn't human. Rourke's communicator chimed calmly. Admiral, Dr. Chin said from Earth, Valori just triggered subspace severance. Rourke smiled grimly. Then they just signed their own extinction notice. General Khan stared. What? Rourke tapped the console. Release Project Prometheus Veil. Reality snapped back. Human ships did not lose power. They ignored the severance. Around the chamber, alien vessels flickered back online as well. Those that had accepted human signal keys during the talks. The rest remained blind. What did you do? Zeltherin roared. Rourke met his gaze. We learned long ago not to depend on the universe behaving nicely. Behind him, the UNS Resolute shifted. Its hull opened. And dozens of human warships, hidden in folded spacetime, emerged. They had been there the entire time. Gasps echoed across every channel. This meeting is over, Rourke said evenly. You tried to isolate us, he continued. Instead, you isolated yourselves. Valori escorts fired. Human ships responded with terrifying restraint, disabling shots, precision strikes, engines shredded without destroying hulls. They were not killing. They were demonstrating control. Zeltherin watched Valori cruisers drift powerless, surrounded by human vessels. His voice dropped. You planned this. Rourke nodded. You taught us how power behaves. We just listened. The Concordance chamber fell silent. Because the truth had become undeniable. Humanity was not seeking allies. It was forcing the galaxy to choose. Rule together. Or fall apart alone. The Concordance did not surrender. It fractured. Within one galactic cycle of the cartoon incident, open war ignited across 100 sectors. Valori loyalists struck at any world suspected of cooperating with humans. Trade hubs burned. Neutral systems collapsed into chaos. And Earth did something no one expected. It did not rush to conquer. It fortified everyone else. Human ships appeared across embattled systems, not as invaders but as engineers. They rebuilt shattered hyperlanes using modular jump scaffolds. They distributed defensive platforms that could be assembled by local species. They shared algorithms, not weapons. Why give them this? General Khan asked as she watched supply fleets depart Earth. Rourke did not hesitate. Because empires fall when people learn they don't need them. Dr. Chen added quietly, the Valori hoard dependence. Humans weaponize independence. The Valori response was overwhelming force. From the ancient shipyards of Valor Prime, the Dominion Armada launched, thousands of war vessels moving as one, reality bending in their wake. At their center flew the Void Sovereign, larger than cities, older than most stars humans had ever catalogued. High Executor Zeltherin addressed his fleet. Humans have disrupted the natural hierarchy, he declared. They spread chaos disguised as choice. Today we end the anomaly. The Armada set course not for Earth. For the human-built Alliance worlds. The first battle erupted at Soren's Reach. Valori ships arrived in perfect formation, weapons primed to annihilate an entire system. What they found instead was disorder. Human-designed defense platforms did not align symmetrically. Ships did not share command structures. Species fought side by side using wildly different tactics. It was messy. And it worked. Valori targeting systems failed to prioritize threats. Their predictive models, built on uniform behavior, collapsed under chaos. Human advisors did not issue orders. They asked questions. What do you need to survive? What can you improvise? What rules are you willing to break? Within hours, the Valori lost 20 capital ships. Zeltherin watched the feeds in disbelief. They're not coordinating, he said. The intelligence core replied, they are adapting faster than our models can update. Zeltherin's voice hardened. Then burn the system. The order never executed. At the heart of the Dominion Armada, space twisted violently. Human saboteurs, inserted weeks earlier aboard captured Valori vessels, activated logic bombs embedded not in hardware, but in command doctrine. Orders contradicted one another. Subfleets hesitated. Fire authorization loops deadlocked. The Armada slowed. That was all humanity needed. From the dark between stars, something ancient and human emerged. A ship class never shown before. The Atlas Line. Built around captured Valori gravity cores, reinforced with human redundancy and human madness. Each ship carried enough mass manipulation capability to move planets. They did not fire immediately. They spoke. Admiral Rourke's voice echoed across every channel, open, unencrypted. This war ends now, he said. You have lost strategic initiative. Your fleets are compromised. Your allies are leaving. As if summoned, Valori sensors detected it, Keth fleets withdrawing. Ishari Sanctum ships powering down. Zeltherin snarled. They fear extinction. No, Rourke replied. They fear irrelevance. The Void Sovereign fired. A beam of compressed causality tore through space toward the Atlas flagship. The human ship did not dodge. It absorbed the strike, layers of redundant spacetime folding, bleeding energy harmlessly into controlled microsingularities. The Valori bridge fell silent. That weapon ends wars, Zeltherin whispered. Rourke's reply was calm. We know. You used it on children. The Atlas flagship returned fire. Not with destruction. With disassembly. The Void Sovereign's outer hull peeled away, systems unraveling as if politely asked to stop existing. The ancient ship did not explode. It simply failed. Drifted. Alive but powerless. Across the Armada, Valori crews watched their godship fall silent. Morale shattered. In the aftermath, Valori captains began surrendering en masse. Zeltherin stood alone on his darkened bridge, staring at Earth's insignia now flashing across human ships everywhere. "Why?" he asked quietly, opening a private channel to Rourke. "You could rule us. You've proven that." Rourke's image appeared, tired, scarred, human. "We don't want your throne," he said. "We want your permission structures gone." Zeltharin laughed bitterly. "You will become what you destroy." Rourke shook his head. "No," he said. "We already survived it." As the Dominion Armada disintegrated, the galaxy felt something irreversible settle in. The war was not over. But it could no longer be won by the old rules. Because humanity had revealed its most terrifying trait. When faced with annihilation, humans did not just fight harder. They redesigned the meaning of power itself. The war slowed not because the Valori surrendered but because they no longer knew how to fight. Their fleet still existed. Their weapons still worked. But the galaxy around them had changed shape. Hyperlanes rerouted through human-built nodes. Trade no longer flowed through concordance checkpoints. Entire species simply stopped asking permission. And at the center of it all stood Earth. Not as a capital, but as a court. The Concordance Citadel, once the symbol of unquestioned authority, now drifted powerless above a neutral star. Human engineers had stabilized it, not out of mercy but necessity. Inside, the greatest gathering in galactic history assembled. Not a summit. A trial. High Executor Zeltharin was brought before the chamber in restraints that dampened gravity manipulation and neural command authority. For the first time in his long existence he walked instead of floated. Across from him stood not an emperor, not a god-king, but a human in a simple uniform. Admiral Elias Rourke. "You demand judgment," Zeltharin said, voice echoing. "From what authority?" Rourke did not raise his voice. "From the dead," he replied. The chamber darkened. Holograms appeared, world after world erased by phase erasure. Names spoken aloud. Species extinct. Cultures gone. 112 civilizations. Zeltharin did not look away. "These were lawful actions," he said. "Necessary for stability." Dr. Maya Chin stepped forward. "You define stability as silence," she said. "Humans define it as resilience." She gestured and the holograms changed, footage of Earth's past disasters. Nuclear fire. Famine. Floods. Near extinction. "We should not exist," Chin continued. "Statistically, culturally, biologically, we are in error." Rourke met Zeltharin's eyes. "But we learned something from surviving ourselves." The Valori loyalists made one final attempt. Hidden fleets, long dormant, activated deep within Concordance space. Their target was soul. Not conquest. Retribution. Earth's sensors detected them instantly. General Khan watched the display tighten. "They're coming for the heart," she said. Rourke nodded. "As expected." "Do we intercept?" she asked. "No," Rourke replied. "We end this where it began." Above Earth, humanity revealed its final truth. The black halo was not a shield. It was a framework. As the Valori Doomsday Fleet entered Sol, space itself resisted them. Gravity wells shifted. Time dilation warped targeting solutions. Every move the aliens made fed data back into the halo's planetary mind. Earth was no longer just defended. It was aware. Human planetary systems are acting as a unified intelligence, a Valori commander whispered in terror. "The planet is thinking." The fleet fired. Earth responded. Not with weapons. With choice. Human ships did not destroy the invaders. They isolated them, cutting propulsion, locking them in safe orbits, preventing escape or reinforcement. A prison made of stars. On the Concordance Citadel, alarms sounded. Zeltharin felt it. "You've bound them," he said softly. "You could end us all now." Rourke shook his head. "No," he said. "We could have done that days ago." The chamber leaned forward as one. "We are ending something else," Rourke continued. "Fear as governance." The verdict was not death. It was dismantling. Valori command authority was revoked. Phase erasure technology was sealed under joint oversight. Concordance enforcement fleets were disbanded or absorbed into local defense coalitions. The Valori were not erased. They were reduced. Forced to live under the same uncertainty they had inflicted on others. Zeltharin listened in silence. When it was over, he looked at Rourke. "You will fail," he said quietly. "Chaos will follow." Rourke nodded. "Yes," he agreed. "But it will be shared chaos." As the trial concluded, messages flooded Earth. Not demands. Questions. How do we defend ourselves? How do we build without permission? How do we survive, like you? Rourke stood before the Continuity Council one last time. We don't rule them, Khan said. So what are we? Rourke smiled faintly. We're proof, he said. Proof that the galaxy doesn't need executioners. Above Earth the stars burned steady. The Valori fleet remained trapped, alive, watching the planet they had failed to erase. And for the first time in recorded galactic history, an empire ended not with fire, but with understanding forced upon it. Yet one final question remained, unspoken but heavy. What would humanity become? Now that nothing in the galaxy could truly stop it? The galaxy did not collapse after the Valori fell. That surprised everyone. Markets reopened along new routes. Worlds once silent began to speak again. Species that had hidden for centuries sent ships into open space without fear of extermination schedules or execution fleets. Chaos existed, but it was alive. And at the quiet center of it all was Earth. Years passed, not measured in wars but in rebuilding. Human envoys traveled the stars not as conquerors but as architects. They helped worlds design defenses suited to their biology. Aquatic species received fluid space habitats. Silicon-based mines were given distributed sanctuaries instead of central cores. Humans did not standardize. They customized. This confused many. The Keth asked bluntly, "Why not rule? You already won." Admiral Elias Rourke, older now, slower but still sharp, answered calmly. "Because we didn't survive extinction to become better tyrants." High Executor Zeltherin lived. Stripped of authority, he was confined to a single Valori world, forced to watch the galaxy evolve without him. He studied human history obsessively, wars, collapses, recoveries. One day he requested a meeting. Rourke accepted. They stood beneath an alien sky, strange stars overhead. "You should have destroyed us when you had the chance," Zeltherin said. Rourke smiled sadly. "We tried that once. On ourselves." Zeltherin turned. "The galaxy will fear you. Already does." "Yes," Rourke said. "But fear fades. Memory doesn't." He looked out at the stars. "We made sure they remember why we fight." Far beyond known space, something ancient stirred. A civilization older than the Valori. Older than the Concordants. Watchers who had observed the cycle of dominance and extinction repeat endlessly. They had erased civilizations without regret. Until Earth. They survived the erasure. One ancient mind pulsed. "They dismantled power without replacing it," said another. "They are unstable," a third warned. A probe entered human space. It did not hide. Earth detected it instantly. The black halo whispered its presence to every system. Human fleets did not scramble. They waited. The probe broadcast a single message translated perfectly. "Why do you endure?" Earth answered. "Not with a weapon. Not with a threat." A human child's voice echoed into the void, recorded centuries earlier. "We fall down," the child said. "Then we get back up. That's what humans do." Silence followed. Then the ancient probe powered down. Retreated. For the first time the watchers chose not to interfere. On Earth, Admiral Rourke stood before a crowd as he announced his retirement. "We were underestimated," he said, "because we looked fragile." Soft laughter followed. "But fragility is not weakness," he continued. "It is awareness of loss." He looked across the planet, scarred, crowded, alive. "We know what it means to almost disappear." Humanity did not declare itself supreme. The galaxy did. In whispered conversations. In altered probability models. In ancient beings choosing caution. Because when worlds vanished, Earth did not. When extinction came, humans adapted. When power was offered, humans refused its throne. And when the galaxy tested them again, humanity stood ready. Not as gods. Not as monsters. But as the one species that had learned the ultimate lesson of survival. Never underestimate those who have already survived the end.